We just heard James and John have quite an interesting request for Jesus. Grant that in your glory we may sit one at your right and the other at your left. And Jesus responds, you do not know what you are asking. Can you drink the cup that I drink, or be baptized with the baptism with which I am baptized? And for the most part, we've been around long enough. We get what Jesus is talking about. He has attached his glory to suffering, to service, to humility, to the cross. All of us know this. You've heard it 1,000 times. Embrace the cross, receive the glory, receive eternal life. But how does this usually play out? How many times do we go through a really difficult time, texting our friends the entire time it's happening, texting our spouse the entire time it's happening, venting, complaining? We put out our hand right after it's over, ready to receive this promised glory. We say, Jesus, grant me eternal rest in the form of Netflix, alcohol, mindless distractions. Jesus, let everyone see what I've done, how well I've suffered, and let them praise me for it. We say, my life is hard. My vocation is hard. I don't deserve this. I've carried the cross long enough, and I'm done drinking from this cup. And so often we find ourselves in this vicious cycle. Our life becomes a back and forth between doing duties of God, loving really well, and then grasping for glory. But the ones who overcome this cycle, we have a name for them. They're called saints. Yesterday, the Catholic Church celebrated the feast days of the North American martyrs, St. Isaac Jogues, St. Jean de Brebeuf, and their companions. And these were Jesuit Catholic missionaries in the 17th century who sailed from France to New France. Okay, New France, it's not New Orleans, it's Canada, okay? And they brought the faith to the native people, specifically to the Huron tribe. They learned their language, okay, with no benefit to them, right? I mean, they're studying a language that no one else in the world knows. When I'm studying Spanish for St. Faustina, at least I can order at restaurants now. They lived in their tents. They completely immersed themselves into this culture so that they could bring Jesus Christ in. And they kept this entire time in a wavering belief in the mission of Jesus Christ. And eventually, Father Isaac found himself kidnapped by the Iroquois tribe, a great rival of the Huron tribe. And he was a slave for 13 months, enduring many tortures. In fact, they ensured that he would not be able to celebrate Mass by cutting off his fingers, burning his fingers. At this point, the index finger and the thumb were essential for Mass. They were called the canonical digits. They wouldn't even ordain you a priest if you didn't have them. After 13 months, Isaac Jogues was able to escape and return to France. When he returned to France, he came up to the cathedral, knocked on the door, and said, I've returned from New France. I've been a missionary there. And they said, wow, that's wonderful news. Have you heard anything about Father Isaac Jogues? He said, I am Father Isaac Jogues. They couldn't recognize him. That's how much he had suffered over those years. When they recognized him, they called him a hero. The Queen lauded him for his incredible mission towards the salvation of souls. The Pope quickly heard about him, and the Pope quickly gave him permission to celebrate Mass with those digits. He said, don't worry, use what you got. He said, quote, it would be shameful that a martyr of Christ not be allowed to drink the blood of Christ. Now, nobody would have blamed Father Isaac if he had reached for his glory at this moment, if he'd said, this is a heck of a Wikipedia page and I'm going to call it quits. He was a hero and grateful that he could drink from that chalice that he could offer the Holy Mass, he went out and again reached for the cup of suffering. He reached for what the Mass is all about. In 1946, Father Isaac returned to New France. Not 1846, not 19, wow, that's wild. In 1846, Father Isaac returned to New France to the missions of the Heron tribe. And in that same year, with his 7 missionary priest brothers, he was martyred. He drank the cup. He received the glory. Brothers and sisters, this life is very, very hard. Our vocations are very, very hard. There's evil, there's suffering, there's confusion, but the Lord is asking each of us to stay with him, to put off our vain attempts at glory in this life, and to wait to receive his glory.